Hello. Okay, this is a quick 3-for-1, one factoring problem where you get to review 3 of your factoring techniques. Let's do it. Here's the problem we're working with today. 6x cubed minus 3x squared minus 24x plus 12. Okay, the very first thing to do, and you can do this with every factoring problem you encounter, is check to see if there is a greatest common factor. That means one thing that is multiplied into every term that you could factor out of every term to make your life easier. When I do a quick look through here, it won't be an x because this term doesn't have an x, but I see I've got a 3 here, and my 6 has a 3, and my 24 has a 3, and my 12 has a 3. So my greatest common factor is 3, and when I factor that out of every term, and remember factor means divide, I'm left with 2x cubed minus x squared minus 8x plus 4. Okay, next, I am looking at a 4-term polynomial, so I can't just jump to the x method. What I'd need to do next is factor by grouping. So I'd start by putting brackets around my first 2 and my last 2 terms. Note, I included the minus 8x to make that a plus negative 8x. Yeah? If I left this as a minus outside this bracket, that would be like applying it to both terms, and it isn't applied to both terms. Now, I'm going to essentially apply my greatest common factor work to each individual bracket. So in this first bracket, I see I have an x squared common to both, which leaves me with 2x minus 1 when I factor that x squared out. And then here, if I have a leading minus, I'm always going to want to factor that out. So I'm going to factor negative 4 out of both terms. And that leaves me with a positive 2x here. And when I divide negative 4 out of 4, that leaves me with a minus 1. And there's my gold because those are the same in both of these 2 terms. So my last step in factoring by grouping is I'm going to pull that out of both terms, and I'm left with an x squared minus 4 as my second term. And this brings us to the final bit of factoring. This is fully factored. This is fully factored. This should look suspicious. An x squared term as opposed to an x, a minus or a difference, and a 4, which is also something squared, 2 squared. That is a difference of squares. And I remember that that factors into, well, one of these is going to have a plus and the other a minus. Both of my first terms will be the square root of this first term, and both of my second terms will be the square root of that second term. Bring down the rest of this, and I am fully factored using 3 different factoring methods. Now, here's a bonus. Let's say our original problem actually wanted us to solve, then my zero product property says that the only way that this times this times this equals 0 is when this equals 0, which happens when x equals 2, when this equals 0, happens when x equals negative 2, or when this equals 0, happens when x equals 1/2. And if you weren't sure how I got any of those, I literally set each of them equal to 0 and then solved for x. So there you go. Quick and dirty 1 problem, 3 factoring methods, plus a bonus reminder of how to turn it into solve. If you want further practice on any of that, check out these videos. Also take a look at my factoring playlist, which has all kinds of factoring problems and methods to help you prepare for a test. And consider subscribing to my channel so you know when I put out a new video. And as always, keep on mathing.